Hi everyone, welcome to Keep Calm and Crochet. Today I'm going to show you how to crochet this minion keyring. For this tutorial you're going to need double knit yarn in blue, yellow, black, grey and white. I'm going to be working this with a 3mm crochet hook. In addition to that, you're going to need 14mm security eyes, a keyring attachment. If you don't have that, you can always make a loop with your double knit yarn, a stitch marker, darning needle, pair of scissors and some fiber fill. So make sure you've got all of those components. Now before we start, if you enjoy watching my tutorials, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Let's get started. We're going to start off with our blue color. Work a slip knot using whatever method you prefer. Slip your hook inside and chain 2. This method here is an alternative to magic ring, but if you prefer working with magic ring, then work your round 1 straight into your magic ring. Before this method, skip your first chain, slip your hook in the second chain from your hook, and work 6 single crochets there. That's my first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Once you have your 6 single crochets, pull on this bit of yarn to eliminate the gap between your stitches. This brings your stitches nice and close together and you can start working in a spiral. Slip your hook in the first single crochet of your previous round and work a single crochet there. We're going back into that same stitch to work another single crochet. Now when you work 2 single crochets in the same stitch, it's called an increase. We're going to be working 6 increases in this round. Here's my second increase, third increase, fourth, fifth, and here we go. Here's the increase number 6. This brings the stitch count to 12. Let's start the next round by working a single crochet in our first stitch. I'm going to start using a stitch marker to identify the start of my round and to keep an accurate stitch count. We're going to follow that single crochet on with a single crochet, on with an increase. So that single crochet is going to get followed on with an increase. And that's your repeat for this round. 1 single crochet followed on with an increase in the next stitch, 1 single crochet followed on with an increase. We're going to be repeating that all the way around. Same combination for the last time, 1 single crochet followed on with an increase. This brings your stitch count to 18. Let's start the next round by working 2 single crochets in a row. Here's 1, 2, stitch marker in place, and we're going to follow those 2 single crochets on with an increase in the next stitch. And that's your repeat for this round. 2 single crochets followed on with an increase, and repeat that all the way around. At the end of this round, your stitch count is 24. Let's start the next round by working 3 single crochets in a row. That's 1, 2, and 3. Stitch marker in place, and follow these 3 single crochets on with an increase in the next stitch. And that's your repeat for this round. 3 single crochets followed on with an increase. Repeat that all the way around. At the end of this round, your stitch count is 30. Let's start the next round by working 4 single crochets in a row. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Follow these 4 single crochets on with an increase, so 2 single crochets in that same stitch. There we are, and this is your repeat for this round. 4 single crochets followed on with an increase, and repeat that all the way around. At the end of this round, your stitch count is 36. Now let's start the next round by working a single crochet in our first stitch, stitch marker in place. Follow this single crochet on with a single crochet in every single one of these stitches all the way around. To finish this round, you're going to need 36 single crochets in a row. Once you've done that, you're going to follow the same method 2 more times to have 3 rounds of just single crochet. So go ahead, work 3 rounds of single crochet and then meet me back here. At the end of 3 rounds of single crochet, your stitch count is still 36. We're now going to work a slip stitch in the next stitch to fasten off. And let's go ahead and snip this yarn off, pull it out of the stitch and pull this down to secure this in place. And we're going to grab the yellow color this time, and we're going to be attaching that on any of these stitches further away from this stitch, because if you attach it just next to it, you are going to see a sudden change in color. So I'm going to move away from that stitch, catch. So if I show you each strand, each stitch is made with a V shape. We're going to slip our hook in the middle to isolate the back loop only. So we're going to be attaching this yarn on the back loop only, like this. And we're going to chain 1, pull this strand down, and that ties a knot in place. Going back around that same loop, you're going to pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both. That's my first single crochet of this round. We're going to be working a whole row of single crochets in back loops only. So slip your hook in the middle of the stitch to isolate the back loop, like this, and work a single crochet each time. And just like this, work your way all the way around and then meet me back here. Last couple of stitches left now. Still working in the back loops only. And there we go. Stitch count is still 36. We're now going to continue working in a spiral and catch a full stitch this time, and work a single crochet in our first single crochet of a previous round. We're going to follow that single crochet on with a single crochet in every one of these stitches all the way around. To finish this round, you're going to need 36 single crochets in a row again. Once you've done that, you're going to follow the same method 5 more times to have 6 rounds of just single crochet. So go ahead, work 6 rounds of single crochets and then meet me back here. At the end of 6 rounds of single crochet, your stitch count is still 36. We're now going to fasten off with this yellow color with a slip stitch in the next stitch and pull this out. And we're going to change it over to grey. So let's grab our grey yarn and attach it away from where we have just finished. Pull up a loop, hold that tail down and chain 1. Pull this down all the way, slip your hook back inside that same stitch, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both. That's your first single crochet here. I'm going to follow this single crochet on with a single crochet in every one of these stitches all the way around. To finish this round, you're going to need 36 single crochets in a row. Go ahead and work that and then meet me back here. At the end of this round of single crochets in grey, stitch count is still 36. We're going to now work a slip stitch in our first single crochet here. Snip this yarn off, pull it out of the stitch and pull this down to secure it in place. Now we're going to reattach our grey yarn, or the yellow yarn rather. Grab that, move away from where you just finished, slip your hook in anywhere, pull up a loop with the yellow strand and chain 1. Pull this down and that ties a knot in place. Go back around to that same stitch and work your first single crochet here. We are going to be working one more round of just single crochets. So again, to finish this round, you're going to need 36 single crochets. Go ahead and work that and then meet me back here. At the end of this round of single crochet, stitch count is still 36. Let's start the next round by working 4 single crochets in a row. Here's my first one, stitch marker in place, second, third, and fourth. Follow these 4 single crochets on with a decrease. Pull up a loop from the next 2 stitches, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 in one go. And that's your repeat for this round. That's 4 single crochets, 3, 4, and let's show you a decrease again. To work a decrease, pull up a loop from the next 2 stitches, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 in one go. Go ahead, follow that repeat and finish this round off and then meet me back here. At the end of this round, your stitch count is 30. Let's start the next round by working 3 single crochets in a row. That's 1, 2, and 3. Stitch marker back in place. Follow these 3 single crochets on with a decrease. Pull up a loop from the next 2 stitches, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 in one go. And that's your repeat for this round. 3 single crochets followed on with a decrease. Repeat that all the way around. At the end of this round, your stitch count is 24. Let's start the next round by working 2 single crochets in a row. Stitch marker in place, followed on with a decrease. Pull up a loop from the next 2 stitches, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 in one go. That's your repeat. Repeat that all the way around. Stuff this body up with fiber fill as much as you can and then meet me back here. At the end of this round, your stitch count is 18. Let's start the next round by working a single crochet in our first stitch and follow this on with a decrease in the next stitch. So pull up a loop from the next 2 stitches, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 in one go. Let's put the stitch marker in and repeat that combination all the way around. At the end of this round, your stitch count is 12. We're now going to be working our final round to close this gap off, so make sure that this body is full of fiber fill as much as you would like it to be, and then start working decreases. So we're going to be working this round together. Here's my first decrease. Give it a tug a little bit after working the stitch because that will help you to decrease the size of this hole quicker. Here's my third decrease. Fourth, fifth, and decrease number 6 here. And there we go. Now you will notice that there is a tiny gap still left between your stitches. Now you have 2 options for this. You either work one more decrease and work a slip stitch, or you are going to use a darning needle to sew this off. So I'm going to be working one more decrease. And there we go. Work a slip stitch in the next stitch like this. Snip this yarn off, pull it out of the stitch, pull this down to secure this in place. And now once it's done, you're going to slip your hook in from further away, make it come out from that very same stitch, loop this thread onto your hook and pull this in. And there we go. If it's sticking out still, you can snip this off and leave that inside. Now I'm going to give the whole body a little massage so the fiber fill is distributed evenly. And that's the body now complete. Now onto the eyes, and for this let's grab the white yarn and we're going to work a slip knot and chain 2. Skip your first chain and work 8 single crochets in the second chain from your hook. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Pull on this bit of yarn to eliminate the gap between your stitches and start working in a spiral. Slip your hook in the first single crochet of your previous round and work an increase there. That's my first increase, second increase, third increase, fourth, fifth increase, sixth, seventh, and increase number 8. Now this brings your stitch count to 16. Let's start the next round by working a single crochet in our first stitch. Let's use a stitch marker to identify the start of our round and follow this single crochet on with an increase in the next stitch. And that's your repeat for this round. Single crochet followed on with an increase. Repeat that all the way around. At the end of this round, your stitch count is 24. We're now going to work a slip stitch in the next stitch to fasten off. Slip this yarn off, pull it out of the stitch and pull this down to secure it in place. We are now going to grab our grey yarn and work a round of single crochets. So in order to do this, you're going to attach the new yarn away from the stitch that you finished with to have a smoother transition of the color. Chain 1, pull this strand down and going back into that same stitch to work your first single crochet. In this round, we're going to be working a whole round of just single crochets. So you will need 24 single crochets to finish this round. And once you made your way all the way around, you're going to work a slip stitch in this first single crochet in grey. And we're going to leave a long tail and snip this yarn off and pull it out of the stitch and pull this down to secure this in place. Now these grey bits are going to represent the glasses or the spectacles, and you're now going to grab an eye and we're going to be inserting that right in the middle of this round, like right in the center. Now this is where you can personalize your minion. You can have this eye in the corner if you wish to. You can have 2 of these eyes. You can have 1 of these eyes. It's entirely up to you. Once you've inserted that, you're going to put the backing on. And there we go. That's the eye now finished. Now onto the arms, and for this let's grab black yarn and work a slip knot and chain 2. Skip your first chain and work 6 single crochets in the second chain from your hook. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pull on this bit of yarn to eliminate the gap between your stitches. And that brings your stitches nice and close together. Slip your hook in the first single crochet of your previous round to start round 2. I'm going to use a stitch marker to identify the start of my rounds from here. Follow the single crochet on with an increase in the next stitch. And that's your repeat for this round. That's 1 single crochet, followed on with an increase, 1 single crochet, increase in the last stitch. Now this brings your stitch count to 9. Let's take the stitch marker off and work a slip stitch in the next stitch. Snip this yarn off, pull it out of the stitch, pull this down, and we're now going to change this color over to yellow. Let's turn this the right way around. And grab your yellow yarn, attach it away from where we finished to have a smoother transition of color. Pull up a loop and chain 1. Pull this strand down to tie a knot in place, going back into that same stitch to work your first single crochet. In this round we're going to be working 9 single crochets in a row. Here's my second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Move the tail out of the way and continue the stitches. 7th, 8th, and my 9th single crochet. There we go. We're going to have one more round of just single crochets. Slip your hook in the first single crochet in yellow and continue working. Here's my first single crochet, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, 8th, and my 9th one. So stitch count at this point still 9. Take the stitch marker off, stuff all of these tail ends inside this section, and we are going to continue our next round. And to do this you're going to work a single crochet in your first stitch, stitch marker back in place, and we are going to follow this single crochet on with a decrease. Pull up a loop from the next 2 stitches, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 in one go, and that's your repeat for this round. That's 1 single crochet followed on with a decrease, and repeat that all the way around. One more time. That's 1 single crochet followed on with the last decrease, and there we go. Now the stitch count at this point is 6. We're going to now start the next round by working a single crochet in our first stitch, stitch marker in place, and we're going to follow the single crochet on with a single crochet in every one of these stitches all the way around. To finish this round you're going to need 6 single crochets in a row. Once you've done that you're going to follow the same method 2 more times to have 3 rounds of just single crochet. So go ahead, work 3 rounds of single crochet and then meet me back here. At the end of 3 rounds of single crochet, stitch count is still 6. We're now going to work a slip stitch in the next stitch to fasten off. We're going to snip this yarn off, leaving a long tail, pull it out of the stitch, pull this down to secure this in place. Now that's one of the arms done. You're going to follow the same instructions and make another one of these. Now onto the legs, and we're going to start off with our black yarn and work a slip knot and chain 2. Skip your first chain and work 6 single crochets in the second chain from your hook. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and my 6th one. Pull on this bit of yarn to eliminate the gap between your stitches. And from here you're going to start round 2. Slip your hook in the first single crochet of your previous round and work a single crochet in there to start round 2. Follow this on with an increase in the next stitch. That's your repeat for this round. 1 single crochet, followed on with an increase, single crochet, followed on with an increase. Now this brings the stitch count to 9. Let's work a slip stitch in the next stitch to fasten off. Snip this yarn off, pull it out of the stitch, pull this down to secure this in place. We're now going to grab our blue yarn and we're going to attach that onto any of these stitches. Pull up a loop and chain 1. Pull this strand down and you're going to go back up into that same stitch to work a single crochet and follow this single crochet on with a single crochet in every one of these stitches all the way around. To finish this round, you're going to need 9 single crochets in a row. Once you've done that, you're going to follow the same method 4 more times to have 5 rounds of just single crochet, all in that blue color. So go ahead, work 5 rounds of single crochet with 9 single crochets in each round, and then meet me back here. At the end of 5 rounds of single crochet, stitch count is still 9. We're now going to work a row of stitches across the top to close this gap off. In order to do that, you're going to slip your hook in the next stitch, in the stitch here, and make it go through the stitches at the back as well. So if I pull this apart, you can see I've gone through the front and the back of these stitches. Pull up a loop to work your first single crochet. Move on to the next stitch in the front, next stitch at the back. Here's my second single crochet, third, and my 4th one. And once you worked your 4 single crochets across, you're going to chain 1 and snip this yarn off, pull it out of the stitch and pull this down to secure this in place. And there's one of the legs done. Now you're going to follow the same instructions and make another one of these. Now onto the assembly, and we're going to start off with the eye. So let's grab the eye. If you've chosen to go for 2, then obviously you are going to position them as you wish. I'm going to be poking this black bit through one of the holes like this, and so I've inserted that 1 round below this grey line. And once you've got that in place, you are going to get rid of all of these strands. I'm going to cut them to a smaller size, and then we are going to coil it at the back. So snip it down to a shorter size, coil them at the back of the eye, and we are going to now, while holding this eye in place, you're going to start sewing it onto the head. Now when you're doing this, you are going to not touch the grey part, but just the white part here. So I'm going to be working on the inside. So catch 1 stitch on the body, 1 stitch on the eye. So when I'm going to catch the stitches on the eyes, I'm going to do it like this so that the grey part is untouched. And just like this, you're going to make your way all the way around. And once you've made your way all the way around, this is what the eye should look like. I'm going to now go through that first stitch 1 more time, like this. And then just on the grey part, I'm going to isolate 1 stitch and create a loop, slip my needle through that loop, pull this down and tighten. This is going to create a knot in place, and that secures your thread in. We're going to slip that needle back into that same stitch, guide it to go through some fibre fill and come out from another side of the head. Just come out from here I can now go ahead and snip this off from here. Give it a little squeeze and the fibre fill will get distributed evenly everywhere. Moving on to the arms and legs, let's start with the arms. You are going to position it just on the side like this, and I am going to be sewing the top of this arm 3 rounds below where the grey bits are. So there's the grey bit, 1, 2, 3. So in the 3rd round you're going to catch 1 stitch on the body and then make your way through the stitches on the arm, the top part. I'm going to go through each stitch twice so that the connection is really nice and strong. Move on to the next stitch on the body, next stitch on the arm, and the last stitch here on the body, and then the arm as well. So I'm going to go through that last stitch a couple of times, and there we go. Once you've done it, you're going to create a loop with your thread, slip your needle inside that loop and pull this down to secure this in place, and that creates a knot again. And slip your needle back inside that same stitch, guide it to go through some fibre fill, come out from another side, and there we go. Now we can go ahead and snip this yarn off from here, and now that's the arm now attached. Let's show you how to do the leg as well. Here's another leg. We are going to attach this just at the base, so it's up to you if you would like it sideways like this or you would like it straight in the front. I'm going to have it straight in the front so we can have this minion sitting down if we wish to. So I'm going to go for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds below the waist. So on here you're going to catch 1 stitch on the body and then catch 1 stitch on the leg. Again, I'm going to go through the first and the last stitch twice. And the last stitch here now again, going through that 2 times. So there's my first time, go through that same stitch 1 more time and create a loop in the process. Slip your needle inside that loop and pull this down to secure this in place like this. And now once you've done that, slip your needle back inside that same stitch, guide it to go through some fibre fill and come out from another side of the body. And there it is. I'm going to now go ahead and snip this off, squeeze the body, and that little bit will disappear. And there's one of the arms and legs on. You're going to follow the same instructions and attach the other arm and leg on, and then meet me back here. Arms and legs are now on. We're going to be moving on to attaching this blue yarn to create that dungaree on the top. So in order to do that, you're going to be using the eye as the guidance. So we want to find the middle point of the eye and count 4 rounds or 4 stitches over. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Isolate just the front loop only with your hook like this. Loop this onto the hook and you're going to chain 1. So we're going to chain 1 and then pull this strand down. That ties a knot in place. Let's do that properly. And once that's done, hold that strand down and you're going to go around that loop again and work your first single crochet. So from here you're going to be working 8 single crochets across, including this one. That's my first, just catching the front loops only. There's my second front loop only. Pull up a loop from there. Second single crochet, third, fourth, 5th, sixth, seventh, and my eighth one. And once you got your 8 single crochets, you're going to chain 1, turn this upside down, and you're going to work on top of these stitches. So we're going to work 8 single crochets across. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and my 8th one, and there we go. And we're going to repeat that one more time. So chain 1, turn this over, work 8 single crochets across. Four, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now once you've done this, you are going to be making a few chains to represent the dungaree, the straps of the dungaree, and it's going to go all the way around the body and connect on this side. Now this is going to vary because it depends on how much you've stuffed this body. So I'm going to work a few chains first. I've got 15 chains. I'm going to see how far I get, so up to there. So I'm going to work 10 more chains. So I have 25 chains now, and I'm going to hold it across, keep it on top of the arm here, keep it on the top of the arm here as well, and you're going to pull it down and attach it here. So I'm going to need 3 more chains most likely. So this is something you're going to do it according to how big your teddy is filled up or your minion is filled up. So mine, 2, 3, 4 is good. I've worked 29 chains, and now I've come back to the starting point of the dungaree, and I'm going to attach it with a slip knot. Oh, slip stitch rather. So slip your hook in the corner of that dungaree flap, pull up a loop from there, and 2 loops on your hook. Make this go through the loop that's already on your hook first. And there we go, chain 1 now. We're going to snip this yarn off, pull it out of the stitch, and pull this down to secure this in place. Pull this one down to secure this in place as well. And we are going to slip our hook from further away, make it come out from that starting point, and pull this smaller strand into the body. There we go. And this part can also be pulled in, so go from further away, make it come out from that same stitch, and loop that onto your hook, and pull this into the body. We can snip this off from here and make it disappear inside the body. There we go. And that's now complete. We're now going to attach a couple of strands of hair on top of the head and then attach our key ring as well. So in order to do that, I've got about 10 or 12 inches a strand. I'm going to double it up like this and pull it in from 2 rounds in the front of the center. So pull this in like this, keeping it equal. And from here, you're going to take those 2 strands and tie them in a knot like this. Double knots always preferred. And once that is done, you are going to snip them down to a shorter size. And you can certainly either open these strands up like this so that these strands look a bit thinner, or you can brush them out. It's entirely up to you. So I'm going to open them up. And there we go. So we can brush them out as well if we wish to. And that's just some of the hair like this. I'm now going to grab a darning needle threaded with some yellow yarn, and we are going to just attach this keyring attachment on the top. If you don't have one of these, you can always just create a loop with your thread and attach this keyring to wherever you like to use it with that. But for this, I'm going to simply hold it in place where I want to attach it and go through that same thing a few times. So same stitch a few times. I've gone through it 4 times. I've got 2 strands here. Let's grab both of those strands, snip this yarn down to a shorter size, tie them in a knot. And using your hook, I'm going to pull these in. So go, take this hook out from where we've just finished. Pull these 2 strands into the body like this. One of them has disappeared. Let's take the other one in as well. And there we go. Now that's done. If it comes out from here, you can always snip it off and give it all a squeeze. And there you have it. That's our minion keyring. I hope you enjoyed making this minion keyring with me. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.